up, Instagram? Listen, really quickly, a lot of y'all been inboxing me. Some of you have been texting me, asking me what is going on, what is up with this video that Martell Holt has decided to post today. I really don't know. I have no idea where his mind is, why the hell he done took it to social media at that. However, since he keeps saying he got some stuff to get off his chest and he got to put the truth out and all of that, then I'm going to get some stuff off my chest too. Like, it's not going to be no one-sided anything, ever. So, I'm waiting just like y'all. And I'm waiting to hear what his truth is, so that way I can go ahead and put my truth out as well. You know what I'm saying? And my truth gonna be the truth. So I'm waiting like you guys. I don't know what he's thinking. Kind of disappointed, to be honest, because I thought we had gotten past the whole going to social media thing, but it's all good. But y'all can stop inboxing me, because I don't know. I'm waiting too.
What if the one person who built the entire story just walked away? And the only reaction you got from the man who was at the center of it all was silence. Not anger, not heartbreak, not even confusion. Just cold, controlled indifference. That's exactly what left fans stunned when Melody Shari officially stepped away from the show, and Martell Holt barely reacted. For years, their relationship, full of tension, betrayal, and emotional chaos.
I just hate that this narrative is going around and, bloggers picking things up and, certain people trying to destroy me. But it's not going to happen, though. I'm not going to allow it to happen.
Was the heartbeat of the series. So when that dynamic suddenly disappeared, everyone expected something explosive. But what nobody expected was how quiet things would get. And sometimes, silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. From the very beginning, Melody wasn't just another cast member. She was the foundation. Her story wasn't manufactured or exaggerated. It was raw, emotional, and painfully real. Viewers didn't just watch her, they connected with her. They saw a woman trying to balance love, family, and ambition, all while navigating a relationship that was slowly falling apart in front of millions of people. And at the center of that storm was Martell. Their marriage became one of the most talked about storylines on reality television. Not because it was perfect, but because it wasn't. It was messy, it was complicated, it was filled with moments that made people uncomfortable because they felt too real. The cheating scandal didn't just shake their relationship, it shifted the entire tone of the show. Suddenly, this wasn't just
Melody carried that weight season after season. She showed strength when things fell apart. She rebuilt herself publicly while still dealing with private pain. And while fans admired her growth, they also watched Martell closely. His actions, his words, his attempts to explain himself, it all became part of a narrative that people couldn't stop talking about. But behind the scenes, things weren't as simple as they looked on camera. But here's the twist. Her departure wasn't sudden. It wasn't impulsive. It was something that had been building quietly over time. Every unresolved conflict, every uncomfortable moment, every storyline that seemed stuck in the past, it all added up. And when she finally made the choice, it wasn't just about walking away from a show. It was about walking away from a version of her life that she no longer wanted to live. Now, here's where things get really interesting. When the news broke, all eyes turned to Martell. People expected a reaction. After everything they had been through, after years of public drama, after being so deeply tied to each other's stories, how could he not respond? But instead of emotion, there was distance. Instead of outrage, there was calm. Instead of heartbreak, there was nothing. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. And that's what made it so unsettling. Because when someone who has always been reactive suddenly becomes composed, it raises questions. Was he truly unaffected?
Or was he carefully controlling what he showed the world? What nobody expected was how strategic his response would feel.
He didn't criticize her. He didn't beg her to stay. He didn't even seem surprised. It was as if he had already prepared himself for this moment. And that's where the speculation started to grow. Some people believed he was relieved. After all, their interactions had been filled with tension for years. Without Melody, that pressure disappears. No more confrontations. No more revisiting the past. No more being held accountable in the same way. But others weren't convinced. Because if there's one thing people have learned about Martell, it's that he understands perception. He knows how to present himself. He knows how to shift narratives. And his calm reaction didn't feel accidental. It felt calculated. Think about it. By staying composed, he avoids looking emotional or affected. By not reacting, he removes himself from the drama. And in a situation where emotions are expected, that kind of control can completely change how people see him. But here's the part that really got people talking. Melody wasn't just his ex-wife, she was his storyline. For years, their relationship was the center of attention. Their conflicts drove conversations. Their history gave the show its emotional depth. So what happens when that dynamic disappears? Suddenly, Martell is standing alone, and that changes everything. Without Melody, his role becomes uncertain. He can no longer rely on their past to carry his presence. He has to redefine himself, not as part of a relationship, but as an individual. And that's not as easy as it sounds. Because when your identity has been tied to someone else for so long, separating from that narrative isn't just a challenge, it's a risk. This is where things start to feel even more complicated. Some insiders suggested that Martell saw this as an opportunity, a chance to reshape how people view him, a chance to move away from the image that had followed him for years. And if that's true, then his reaction, or lack of reaction, makes a lot more sense. Because sometimes the most powerful move isn't reacting at all. It's stepping back and letting people wonder. But even with all that speculation, there's still one question that hasn't been fully answered. How did he really feel? Because no matter how controlled someone appears, emotions don't just disappear, especially not after everything they shared. And this is where the emotional impact starts to hit differently. For Melody, leaving wasn't just about the show. It was about closure. It was about finally breaking free from a cycle that had defined her for too long. It was about choosing herself, even if it meant walking away from something familiar. And that kind of decision doesn't come without consequences. She built something powerful on that platform. She connected with people. She inspired them. And walking away meant leaving behind not just the drama, but also the community that supported her. But sometimes growth requires distance. Sometimes moving forward means letting go of what once defined you. And that's exactly what she did. As for Martell, the impact is more complicated. On one hand, he gains freedom. He no longer has to navigate the same emotional tension. He has space to rebuild his image, to tell his story in a different way. But on the other hand, he loses something significant: relevance. Because whether people supported him or criticized him, his connection to Melody kept him at the center of attention. Their story was what made people watch. Without that, he has to find a new way to stay connected to the audience. And that's not something you can force. It has to happen naturally. So now, both of them are at a crossroads. Melody is stepping into a new chapter, one that isn't defined by past relationships or ongoing conflict. She's focusing on growth, on building something that reflects who she is now, not who she used to be. And Martell? He's standing in a space that feels unfamiliar, a space where he has to prove that he can exist without the dynamic that once defined him.
And here's the truth that makes this whole situation even more powerful. This isn't just about a show. It's about what happens when two people who were once deeply connected finally go their separate ways for real. No cameras forcing interaction. No storylines keeping them tied together. Just distance. And sometimes that's the hardest part. Because when everything fades, the drama, the arguments, the noise, you're left with silence. And in that silence, you're forced to face yourself. So maybe Martell's cold reaction wasn't about not caring. Maybe it was about not knowing how to respond. Or maybe it was the only way he knew how to maintain control in a situation where everything else had changed. Either way, one thing is clear. Melody's departure didn't just shift the show, it changed the entire dynamic of their story. And now, for the first time in a long time, both of them have to figure out who they are, without each other. The real question is, who will they become next?